You've got ideas, you've got ambition, you've got no time, or so you think. I'm Marissa Lonick, and I help busy moms with big dreams and no time. Join me each week as I dive into time management strategies, goal setting and achieving framework, and inspiring guests who are juggling mom life, work life, fill in the blank life. Dreams don't work unless you do, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you can't still make it happen, whatever it means to you. Welcome to the Mama Work It podcast. Hello, mama friends, and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I am so glad you're here. If you are new to Mama Work It, we support women in the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. And I am your host and the founder of Mama Work It, Marissa Lonick. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest today. Her name is Sadie Lincoln, and she is the co-founder and CEO of Barre3, a fitness company focused on teaching people to be balanced in body and empowered from within. Starting in 2008 with the flagship studio in Portland, Oregon, Barre3 has grown now to include more than 185 franchise studios, all powered by female entrepreneurs, plus an online workout streaming subscriber base in 100 plus countries. What started as a workout has blossomed into a full-blown movement made up of millions of people focused on body positivity, being empowered, and redefining what success in fitness means. Sadie is on Inc.'s Female Founders 100 list and the MO 100 Impact list. She's been featured on NPR's How I Built This, and she speaks regularly on the topic of mindful leadership, the power of body wisdom, and the movement to redefine what success in fitness means. Beyond running her company and being a global spokesperson, Sadie still enjoys teaching Barre3 classes to many of her founding clients in her hometown of Portland, Oregon. Sadie, I'm so excited for our conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. All right, Sadie. So tell us more about your journey just as a working mom.
Well, I became pregnant with my first child when I was working for a company called 24 Hour Fitness. And that was really my first professional job out of grad school. I had worked there about a decade. And when I had Audrey, I thought I was going to go back to work, but I just couldn't. And so I tried to resign, and my boss, Mark Masterov, who's the founder of 24 Hour Fitness and the CEO at the time, he convinced me to take a little time off, and then he allowed me to work from home, which back then was a big deal. It wasn't like it is these days, and do project work. So I was able to have kind of a foot in with my professional life, but really prioritize raising her. And then I quickly had my second. They're only 18 months apart. And then I decided it was time to just stay home. So I was able to stay at home with them for a good 2+ years. And during those years, that's when we incubated the idea of Barre3, my husband and I. And then the rest of it, we've built Barre3 here in Portland, Oregon. We moved here. We've built Barre3 while raising them. You know, we kind of raised our company along with the kids for the last 16 years. Now I'm about to be an empty nester. My son, who's my baby, is leaving and going to college in the fall. So it's been quite a ride.
Yeah, so relatable. I think as much as so many women out there just love their career and really feel aligned and passionate about what they're doing, it's not an easy transition to go back after having your first, even your second, third, fourth baby. I think it's always real struggle internally.
I think the most challenging thing for me returning to work as a mom has been prioritizing when I'm with my children, being present with my children, and when I'm working, being present with what I'm working with. And candidly, it's easier for me to be present at work than it has been for me to be present as a mother for whatever reason, my mind would go to my professional self. And maybe that's because I had a lot more practice being a professional woman and I was a brand new mom. So that was a new thing for me. But really being present with my children, present with my babies when I had the time. Honestly, that's been a practice for me through my entire career, even as they got older, and so important. I had a real aha at one point around that. My husband actually kind of took me by the shoulders one day in the kitchen and he said, "Are you hearing us? Are you listening?" Like he was like, "Where are you?" And I had that awareness in that very moment that while I was there and I had designed my life around being more present with my children, I wasn't there. I wasn't really with them. And when I kind of figured out how to prioritize that and how to practice being present as a mom, that's when everything clicked for me and it was just more rewarding all around.
Yeah, that is so true. I have struggled with that myself, and I still do sometimes. Absolutely. And I think when I was commuting outside my home, it was easier to compartmentalize the two worlds. And as much
Hmm.
as I love working from home and the flexibility that affords me and everything, sometimes it's not quite as simple to turn one off and turn one on because your work and your home are in the same space physically. So that can be a challenge. Yeah.
I think that's really hard for me. I needed to get dedicated help. I couldn't work from home and also be a mom at the same time. I really needed to have someone. If I was at home with the kids, I need to have someone, on point for them. Um, and whether that be a family member or kind of a mother's helper type thing, doing both didn't work for me.
100%. I agree on this end as well. I don't know how people do that. It's really challenging, really
Uh-oh.
challenging. I mean, and people do every day, but yeah, it was really challenging for me. And I'll take 2020 as the year that really tested me on that when all those resources were not available. So I'm curious, because we're going to talk a little bit about Bar3, your business. So for people listening who haven't heard of Bar3 and this type of exercise, give us a brief overview of what it is, how it works, and why it's especially beneficial for moms.
Well, the actual workout, Bar 3, combines strength conditioning, cardio, and mindfulness. And the mindfulness is the important part. We practice being mindful in our bodies and present in our bodies while exercising, as a practice to be honest about where our body is in that very moment. And that's really different than the rest of the fitness industry, which is by and large designed to get you somewhere in the future.
Mm,
Or for new moms, you hear things like bounce back, like actually go back in time, get your body where it used to be. And in my humble opinion, that fails everybody. We can't, go into the future and we can't go in the past. The only thing we have is in the present moment, and learning to exercise to be present, alive, and honest in our bodies as they are, is deeply rewarding and sustainable, leads to long-term, benefits. And one of the reasons I created Bar 3 was for that very problem I was trying to solve about being a present mother. Um, Not necessarily what I was doing in the exercise room, but how that experience in the exercise room supercharged my ability to go out in the world and do what I wanted to do better, be a mother, a strong leader, a fun friend, a just well-rounded person. And I needed exercise to be able to fill me up, versus deplete me. And that really, and the other piece that was hard for me and really challenging before I started Bar 3 was just this feeling of chronic loneliness. And, I think part of that's being a new mom, being at home, your body has totally changed, your hormones. And it feels like you're the only person in the world going through that in that moment. And when I learned to get out of my comfort, out of my home, and connect with other young moms, and as I got older, just people in general, I realized that building community, fighting lonely, um, may have been intuitive in the past, but in these days needs to be intentional. And Bar 3 is designed around community, fostering relationships, true meaningful connections. We focus more on that even than we do the actual exercise program, which is the foundation of our company. Um, but really, the whole, when we opened our very first studio, which I was just in yesterday at a photo shoot because we're about to reopen it, which we're really excited about. My husband and I put a little dog gate, those like metal dog gates you get to like corral your dog.
Yes.
We put one of those in the lobby of our studio to corral our little kids. They were, I think, 1.5 and 3 at the time. Um, and that's where the play lounge started. Almost all of our studios now have dedicated play lounge, and a lot more upscale than the dog gate, by the way. But back then, that's what we did, and it worked. And it was designed to help me like have my kids with me, while I was exercising. It's only 60 minutes, and then be able to, scoop them up afterwards and go on with my day.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, whether it's a baby gate, dog gate, whatever it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. I want to touch upon something you said about the loneliness factor because it's such a paradox. When you become a mom, it's almost rare that you even have alone time, right? It seems like you always are surrounded by your child or just other people around you. And yet it is a season where a lot of people struggle with that loneliness factor. So
Mhm.
can you tell us more about how that affected you or just how you noticed that in people attending bar 3 and what their feedback has been and kind of being able to shift that now that they're able to join this community?
Yeah, for one thing, when I reflect back, I don't think I said the words or even thought the words, I am lonely. Like that, it wasn't like but now I know I was. I think in the moment, you're just, it's like it's just so, there's all the emotions of having a new baby and everything, and I think I was reframing it and trying to like look at it half, glass half full and figuring it out. But I was really struggling. And it wasn't until I found a group of other moms and that connection that I was able to kind of identify, oh, yeah, like, I'm not alone here in these feelings. You know, I'm not alone in my shame or my guilt or my, sadness or sorrow or, all these confusing feelings you're feeling when you have this beautiful little baby in your arms. It's so universal. And not to mention, it's better now, but back when I had my children, there was so much pressure and I was in the fitness industry. So there was so much pressure to bounce back, like literally like take my body to where it was before having a child, which is such a disservice to mothers to give them that message. It is such an honor for our bodies to change. It is truly a privilege, and a sacred time. And, um, I learned that on my own terms. I started to do my own workouts at home and to really honor and love my body and have compassion for my body, and how it was changing and mending and healing. And I really had to be mindful about not having that inner critic come in and shame me and try to bounce back or try to act like, I was something in the future. Um, and I think, it's not talked about that much, but I do think the baby blues, quote unquote, a lot of it has to do with our bodies. And just being honest that having a child is a major injury. It does, there's so much that happens in the body. And to really take the time to honor that and to heal and to, love on yourself in that moment and find a community where you can do that, I think is critical for feeling whole again and strong enough to go out and meet people and connect and do all the things you want to do.
Yeah, as you were saying that, it kind of made me think about how I'm sure you've heard this before, but when you're grateful, you attract more abundance. And it made me
Mm-hmm.
think of when you are really accepting of those changes and just in gratitude of that healing, how your body will almost shift and change and progress more quickly to where the strength and like the place, the goals that you're looking to achieve, rather than sort of that shame and guilt that might be blocking you from getting there
That's right.
subconsciously.
That's so well said. It's so true. It's similar to, when you're really, really anxious, it's hard to study or it's hard to write or be
Yes.
clear. Same thing, shame, guilt, fighting with your body, inner critic, all of that shuts us down from body wisdom. And a really simple thing to do is to like place a hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and just take like 5 deep breaths, close your eyes, and get centered in your body. um that will, the focus of your breath and breathing and being present sometimes allows that inner critic to take the back seat. So you can shift the paradigm to, oh my gosh, like this is such an honor to be in this place. My body is telling me so much right now. I have so much to learn. And it's, and really listening. And I didn't do that at first. With my first child, I just kept exasperating my abdominal separation because I was trying to do like crunches and like traditional abdominal work, which was opposite of what I needed to do. Had I the tools to listen to myself and really honor what my body needed, my repair would have been a lot more efficient, a lot more rewarding and enriching. Um, so yeah, everybody at Bar3 is so passionate about this entire conversation and creating a space where women learn modifications that are deeply empowering in their bodies as they're, coming out of that stage of being a new mom, and in support of other people in the room. It's you don't feel like the odd one out at Bar3. And there's all kinds of people mending all kinds of injuries in our classes at this point because we're so big on modifications that you certainly will not be alone on that front.
So, why do you think moms, I mean, we've kind of talked about why moms are feeling this loneliness a little bit, but how do you think this can be fixed overall as an issue? I mean, of course, community is one thing, but what are some steps that you would recommend moms take?
Well, number one, this conversation. Have this conversation. If you feel like you're the only one or you have, dark thoughts or, you're struggling, talk about it, share it. That's when we become close, kind of talking through the pain versus burying it, is the number one way to create connection, meaningful connection. And I think it starts with each of us as individuals. I think there's been huge progress with understanding what happens to women when we have a child, our hormones, emotionally, our mental health around it, the physical component of it. And then the second thing, just empowering. It's empowering to know you have absolute control to find a community. Like when I had my first baby, I joined the hospital in Berkeley. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the name of it. I think it's Alta Bates Hospital in Berkeley. I found my first mom's group, in the hospital. And then I like gathered women as I saw them walking with little baby Bjorns. And hey, do you want to walk with me? I just started finding my friends. Of course, Bar3, that's like built in, plug and play. If you're a new mom, we're here for you. We live for you. And we'll also dote on your baby with you, which is kind of fun. My favorite part of my job, I still teach Tuesday mornings at 8:45. We have a little play lounge. And my favorite part of my job is when the moms allow me to hold their babies after class. So if you want people to hold your babies and dote on your babies, Bar3 is a good place to go to. But I think just being honest, in a nutshell, I think being honest, if you're feeling like you need the connection, get out there, raise your hand. There are so many people that feel the same way, and there's so many ways to connect, and move through it. You can't do it alone. We can't heal alone. We all heal in community.
Absolutely. And as someone who built her business on productivity, why not pair that with something productive of building your body back into a stronger version of yourself from, healing from the pregnancy and the birth and everything, and doing that in a way that's really able to make friends, work on healing yourself and strengthening yourself, and have a safe space for your baby to be in all in one. I mean, it's just like boom, 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 win, win, win.
We also have our online streaming program, which is great,
Yes.
especially if you're a brand new mom, because we have breathing, meditation, like recovery, all kinds of beautiful programming. And one thing I've heard, and this is truly one of the greatest compliments ever, I've heard from mothers who homeschool their children, like littles, and they have Barre3 as part of their curriculum because the language we use is so body positive. You will never hear us sexualize women's bodies or, you're doing this so you can look great for this. It's truly about you get to be in your body as it is today, and let me show you how to feel powerful in this move. So I think language is really important, and something, you can do at home. Same language, you'll hear the same language in our studio as well.
I love that. Like, how much better would PE have been as a kid if it was
Right.
Barre3?
I still have, so many of us, we joke about this at Barre3 because we have some kind of old school gym moves like the wall squat. We do a version of that that's very Barre3. And I always make that comment that I'm still like struggling from the trauma of having to do a wall squat with my PE teacher. His name was Craybaugh, and he would just scream at us. It was a horrible entry to physical fitness.
Still healing from that trauma.
I really am. I think a lot of us are.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, Sadie, before we wrap up today's episode, we're going to move into our lightning round where we ask you some random, just for fun, personal questions, just so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better outside of your professional hat that you wear. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. What is your guilty pleasure TV show?
Hacks.
What is that? I never heard of that.
Oh my gosh. It is so good. It is on, I think it's on HBO.
Okay.
Hacks. Hacks. Yeah.
Okay. On my list now.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
What book are you reading right now?
I'm rereading Wild by Cheryl Strayed.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah. What if you could have any superpower? What would it be?
Oh. The first one that came to my mind is to be invisible so I could spy on my children.
Love it. What if they made a movie about your life, which they might one day? I mean, this is a big deal. Who would you want to play you?
I feel like I'm thinking Reese Witherspoon, but I think it's because I'm reading Wild. But I'll go with Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think she would do you justice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Finally, if you could go on vacation tomorrow, anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
I would go to Croatia and get like a skipper and a boat because I was supposed to do that with my kids many years ago. We were in Rome. We were on our way to do this, and we got a call from our vet that they thought our dog was dying.
Oh.
And so we all, as a family, it was such a family values moment. We all decided to cancel the trip and go home. And she's still alive, by the way. We think we saved her with our family love.
I bet you did.
So yeah, I would go to Croatia. I'd do a redo.
Love that. You know, my husband's Croatian. We have lots to chat about offline. Yes.
Oh, fun. Good to know.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sadie, for being a guest. Before we end today's episode, please tell our listeners where they can find you. And I know you have a special offer for the listeners. It is a 3-month online Barre3 promo using code MAMA3MO. We're going to put it in the show notes with the link, but tell us where we can find you and learn more about Barre3 in general.
Yeah. And if you're interested in franchising, because we're 100% owned and operated by women. And if you are a mother or thinking to be a mother, it is a lovely career. I personally designed it for myself around being a mother. So that's barre3franchise.com, barre3.com, just for everything else. And then find me on Instagram, Sadie Lincoln. Love to chat.
Love it. Thank you, Sadie. It has been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. and would love if you could take a quick minute to leave me a review on whichever platform you're listening from, and maybe even send a note to a fellow mama friend recommending it. Reviews and recs help this podcast grow and reach more like-minded, awesome moms. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click that button so we can stay in touch, girl. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Mama Work It website, please do. There are lots of free resources and great articles there that can help you with the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. So head on over. Thanks again for being part of the tribe. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, keep on working it, mama.